Hey everyone, I'm Thyworm, and yesterday I did the first Steam refund ever. The Blast Online game that I really wanted to like turned out to be a pretty big disaster. First things first, the general launch issues. I can forgive an MMORPG some launch day issues. They all have it, and I argued that the launch was even relatively smooth. That was the case on day 1, the time when the previous video was recorded. Day 2, however, showed a very different story. I could successfully log into the game roughly once every 15 times. The other 14 times I'd be stuck in the loading screen, or I would be logged in but stuck in another loading screen, or I'd be in the game world but instantly disconnected after 10 seconds. Also on day 2 there was a lot of maintenance on the EU servers. They were brought down, sometimes announced, sometimes not. They'd be down for up to 2 hours, only to come back up and give me like 15 to 20 seconds of in-game lag. This lag issue lasted for over 4 hours until another server restart finally solved it. This is still, however, in my opinion, forgivable. The performance of Blast Online is absolutely abysmal. In this clip I recorded my avatar in an area with almost no one around, a few enemies and that's it. It drops below 30 FPS regularly. You can see it in the bottom left. In cities the frame rate is much worse, around 10 FPS. The only time I saw a stable 60 frames per second was in the very first tutorial level, and also when I'm soloing a dungeon. Besides this, there's this nasty micro stutter as you can see. Whenever you open up a UI element, the game freezes a little, sometimes for multiple seconds. This is also the case when cutscenes are loaded, which fortunately hardly ever happens. I tried applying some edits in the .ini file, which helped a little, but I shouldn't have to do things like that myself. I don't mind some modding, but this is a whole different ballgame. Talking about the UI, it's bad. It's very unresponsive first of all, but also ugly. And you can't adjust it in any way. I knew this up front, but only when playing the actual game I feel you know if it really bothers you. Well, it does. Questing is a lot of fun. I just cruised through multiple questing zones, picking up and completing all the side quests, and I generally enjoyed the pace of the game. The quests itself are fun with some variety and also quests to get recipes for set items for example, which I liked. Next to that, the tank in this game, the Guardian, does decent damage. In other MMOs, questing as a healer or tank is really slow because it takes ages to kill mobs. In Blast, these classes can do good damage, which is really good to see. Sounds good, you might think, but then I ran into an issue with the quest log, which started to show less and less side quests. I missed a few quests because of that and I had to backtrack, but a few hours later I was unable to track side quests altogether. If I wanted to complete a side quest, I had to read it, figure out myself where to complete it, and then hope I could find what I needed. This is actually a big bug for me because it made completing side quests basically impossible. The translations are atrocious, which caused me to be just as confused as Bill Murray's character receiving cues from a Japanese director for a whiskey commercial. Here's a part I edited out of the previous video, which gives you a clear indication how confusing the tutorial can be. What? Attach charge tactics. Combat poison. Yeah, okay. Equip. Gladiator tactic. Mount. How? Gladiator tactic. Little lost here. Mount. Over there. Change okay. One tactics have been saved. Charge. Can I drag? And also there's this. You have become 2 level. I'm happy with my 2 level. 2 level is good. The voice acting is terrible, both in terms of audio quality and the actual lines delivered by the voice actors, if you can call them that. At some point the whole thing is so bad it reminds me of a 90s B-movie.
Then find the successor, Iselia, and bring her here. Otherwise this man Chico will be imprisoned for eternity.
I don't know if there even was some quality assurance for this, or if the publishers just recorded this in their own showers because it is a starting zone, but boy, this is poorly implemented. I liked playing the dungeons. The first 2 were easy, but the third considerably harder. It had deadly traps, for example, and the bosses did quite a lot of damage. Threat or aggro seemed to work pretty well, and tanking an instance was enjoyable. I also really appreciate the absence of a dungeon finder. In NBOWIZ it's done the proper way if you ask me, with you finding a group, meeting up at the dungeon and then clearing the dungeon together. Not meeting up with some randoms from another server to spend 30 minutes in the dungeon and when it's done you never see each other again. I really hate that. So dungeons are pleasant, right? Until you figure out what they've done to the combat. I'll try to explain. I can appreciate the concept of this quite intricate combat system. There are different instances which can lead to 3 different combos which will increase your threat or lower the enemy's resistances, etc. While using combos you build up, well, let's call it rage, the yellow containers. You can then swap stances, turning those containers in a buff and use the combos of the other stance. I played around with it and it actually works quite well. But here is the main drawback, which is basically a game-breaking bug. A lot of abilities, so part of these combos, lock your character in place. If I'm starting up my combo and press R a few times, I can't actually move my character. You don't notice this so much while questing because I instantly kill monsters anyway, but with dungeon bosses this is absolutely horrendous. I was unable to dodge AoE abilities because my character wouldn't move for another second, because it was performing a combo. In basically every MMO the whole idea behind tanking is knowing the fight, keeping aggro and avoiding special attacks. In NBOWIZ the latter is impossible, basically ruining endgame PvE content. If anyone with some PvE dungeon knowledge would have tested this, they would figure that out. But they didn't. Reddit naturally exploded today. I read most of it and it all seems too familiar. Steam reviews are, well, look for yourself. There are a lot of issues that really need fixing before I could enjoy this game. And I think this is true for many people. Some issues, however, such as the optimization ones, will take a very long time to fix, if they even get fixed at all. And will NBOWIZ still be profitable at that time? Will there still be a dev team listening to our pleas, if they even listened in the first place? With the current business model and a lot of people already refunding the game, it seems more likely that our region will be the 3rd time this MMO fails. And probably this time for good. So guys, that's it. Some of the reasons why I did my first Steam refund ever. Just a quick shout out by the way to Steam that they did give me a refund even though I had 26 hours into the game. I think Steam handles this situation extremely well, taking customers seriously, which is something that NBOWIZ should have done in the first place. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thanks for watching and I will see you next time. Bye bye.